What's up, everyone? KJ3 here in another USA men's national team match. Another US men's national team victory. This time 5-1 over Martinique. Yes, it was a lesser competition, but they were in our group, and in group play, you just got to take care of your own competition no matter what team's in front of you, and we easily took care of the competition today. Like I said, 5-1 victory. Daryl DK, 2 goals, almost had a hat trick with 3, but it was called back. I believe it was given an own goal because it was deflected so many darn times. But Jassy Zardes was a sub. He had a goal as well. And then Giovacchini finally had his first goal for the national team. Way to go for him. Like I said, 5-1 victory. The only goal we gave up was a penalty kick. And we'll get to that one in a bit. Kellen Acosta, don't really know what you were thinking on that. But anyways, got my soccer analyst, my brother BG, on the phone. BG, what did you see from this match? What were your big takeaways?
Well, we were much, much better. I don't know if it was much to do with our tactics or if it had to do more with the opponent. I think it was a little bit of both. We definitely made an adjustment between last match and this one, and we were just much quicker with the ball. I mean, that's what I saw. What about you?
That's what I saw too. I mean, and we discussed this in the last video. With more matches played, team chemistry is going to come with that. And it looked like there was a lot more better team chemistry, whether that due to the 7 personnel swap that we made from the previous match. But I also believe that the players that we were playing in their specific positions were better fitted for those positions. And, we didn't necessarily run our traditional 4-3-3. I mean, that was the listed formation. But, I mean, it's – and you can contribute to this and hit on it a little bit more than I can. It was more like a 4-3 – a 3-4-3 on attack. And then on defense, we kind of just – brought everyone back, had a 5-man line, and it was a 5-2-3 on defense. That's what I saw, and that's basically what you saw as well.
Exactly. That's exactly what I saw. For some reason, they listed it as a 4-3-3 listed formation, but if you're paying attention to the people that were on there, they had 3 center backs listed on the back line and Shaq Moore on the right. So really what we were doing, even at a 3-4-3, it was more like 3 center backs, 2 wing backs that were the midfielders that would go forward on offense and drop back on defense, which left 2 holding midfielders, being Gianluca Busio and Eric Williamson in the middle, which I believe both of them actually had very good games. Busio a little bit more so, but they were very, very good considering it's the first start Busio's ever had for us. Great. Eric Williamson hasn't played too much and he just looked really solid. It was definitely a difference between this match and the Haiti match where Jackson Newell got the start and he just didn't really look very comfortable back there. He was hesitant on the ball. He kept getting dispossessed deep in his own area. And Busio comes in and he just makes it look smooth.
That guy's lights out. I mean, that guy is a phenomenal young talent that we have. Not many people may know about him because he really hasn't gotten many U.S. men's national team roster call-ups, even with the under-17 squad in the last Olympics. Like, if you ask people who have been around Sporting KC, his home club, they're even wondering why he really hasn't gotten that many national team opportunities. But you see in the previous match versus Haiti, he was a sub, and he wasn't exactly a major impact, but, he got his feet wet a little bit. But this match, he went the full 90, and, man, he impressed me. And
yeah, he was very impressive. Like you said, the last match, it was a substitution. That was his first men's national team cap ever with the senior squad.
It's his debut.
And then this one, he gets his very first start ever. And, man, the last match he comes in, he makes an impact. He got 30 minutes running there. But his passing was excellent in that one. And in this one, his passing was excellent again. And he actually went forward a little bit more, even though he's playing more of a holding role, just based on how we were doing tactically, a little bit of the differences. We can get into that here quickly if you want here in just a moment. But it was good. It was very, very good. It was more decisive. It was more quick. It was more They seemed to just know what they wanted to do as soon as the ball came to the feet, both Busio and Williamson in the middle. And it made all the difference in the attack because then it allowed everyone just to go. They got the ball and they just went forward instead of going sideways. And very much a positive impact.
It was, and it's like you said, we did a lot of things tactically that may seem a little bit strange. And if you want to go ahead and hit on that first about how we were transitioning from kind of a 3-back to a 5-back at times, and we had our wingers really playing up, and we honestly were just kind of clogging the midfield. We were kind of daring Martinique to go out on the flanks, go out on the wings, and they just did not do that for their attacking.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed in this one, it's not hugely different than what Berhalter usually likes to do, is he normally likes to rotate between a 3 and a 4-back lineup. And when he has the 4-back lineup, even with the 2 fullbacks back there, he still sends them forward, and then one of the midfielders sort of stays back to make it like an advanced third center back. So if you watch the matches, when we have the ball, you'll see there's only 3 people back, no matter what our formation says it is. But this one, it said it was a 4-3-3, but it was really a 3-4-3. And we really wanted to attack down the right side, which is something that we normally do under Berhalter. He likes to overload one side of the field. But the big difference I saw in this match was when we got the ball into the attacking third, when you have guys like Christian Pulisic and Giovanni Reina or even Tim Weah when he comes off the bench, you can sort of rely on them to be able to break down a defender one-on-one or even get by a double team and be able to make something happen. But in this match particularly, and they weren't even necessarily doing it in the last match against Haiti, when the ball went forward to the wingers, they wouldn't go all the way out on the wings. They wouldn't go past the 18-yard box into the open space and take a man on one-on-one. What they would actually do is they would stop and they would come into the middle a little bit, right about the elbow of the 18 or even a little bit farther inside, and allow that what is supposed to be a fullback but was a wingback in this one to overlap into space wide open.
Yep.
And from there, either the defender had to stay with the inverted winger, who's supposed to be more dangerous with the ball, or they would leave him open and have to go out on the wing to defend either Shaq Moore or George Bello, I believe was the left back in this one, which he also had a good game. And it put the defense in a really bad spot because if the fullback decided to go defend the open space on the wing, then one of the center backs or the midfielders would have to come over and defend the winger, and it stretches the defense. And now you've got Daryl DK, who played the vast majority of this match, who's just a physical load, and you really need to have more than one person in there on him.
Yep.
And it just puts them in a really bad spot, and you can bring it all the way back to our very first goal. The ball was played.
It's a phenomenal goal.
Williamson. The ball was played from Williamson, who is our right defensive holding midfielder. He plays a long switch of play over to the left because up until that point in the match, about 15 minutes or so, we've been overloading the right. So Martinique is rolling their defense, their left side of their defense, to our right side of the attack, and it left the left side wide open. But when the ball goes out there, it was played out to help me out here. I can't remember who it was out there on the wing.
Out on the wing was
Hoppy. Yeah, Hoppy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Hoppy. I couldn't remember your name. But we played the ball out to him, and the defender immediately came out to him, but he stopped and then laid the ball back out wide. The defender goes back out wide to guard the overlapping left back, Bello, and he plays it back inside to Hoppy, who's wide open because the defense still hadn't come back over, and he just puts the ball on his right foot, crosses it to DK at the back post, and he just gnaws it in.
That guy can elevate for a header, man. Oh my!
You just can't. You can't deal with him in there.
No, you can't.
Good position, and it caused a lot of trouble.
It sure did.
It basically stretched out the back four that Martinique had, and sometimes they went to a back five a little bit later in the game. They actually dropped an extra guy back there, so we couldn't keep overlapping them. But it put them in really bad spots, and then it freed up the middle of the field for our two holding midfielders to advance up into like a normal central midfielder or even somewhat of an advanced midfielder. And then now we had so many guys in the attacking third, it was hard for them to deal with us. And that's why you saw chance after chance after chance And then eventually, toward the end of the game, we just started putting them in the back of the net because the defense gets tired.
They just get tired, man. Like, you can only defend for so long, especially if you're being out-talented. And it's like one thing that I noticed in this match that was different than the Haiti match was the Haiti match is we were kind of trying to create our attacking chances through our center backs and our back line. This one was more so Williamson and Buzio just kind of having their show moment, being the two defensive pivots and also getting forward and just creating havoc. And then also Roland as well. He was drawing defenders away to create opportunities, to create one-on-ones for everyone in the attacking third. And that's something that he did better more so in the second half than the first half, because the first half we were kind of scratching our heads to be just like, come on, Roland, like, you're the one who really hasn't stepped up this whole entire match. But he definitely picked it up in the second half.
Christian Roldan was a guy in our last video here that I was calling to be able to get in there and replace Sebastian Lletget. And even though it wasn't a like-for-like substitution, that's basically what he did. He came in, he played out on the right wing instead of as a midfielder, but he just seemed to be pressing in that whole first half. Like he would get in good spots, and then he just wasn't able to make the final pass or the final decision to really advance the attack and keep it going. But in the second half, you come out and right out of halftime, you see him immediately. He is contributing. He's putting through balls in. He got that one really nice shot on goal there. And just he looked much, much better. And I was happy to see that for him, because when he plays with Seattle, that's basically what he does. He's a right-sided midfielder that just runs forward and gets into good spaces and makes things happen. And the second half, Christian Roldan was much better than the first half.
Much better.
But I agree with you that in our match against Haiti, it was very much up to our two center backs back there. But this time, we didn't really need them as much. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't able to see. I'll have to go on a replay and see exactly what Martinique was doing different than Haiti, or if it was just simple that Bucio's just better than Ewell, and so Gregor Berhalter was able to trust him a little bit more to play through him. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but
I think it's a little of both, to be completely honest. I mean, it is what it is. Like, whenever you go against lesser competition and you have a more talented player out there, he's just going to shine. He's going to make the whole entire team look better. And, like, no disrespect to Jackson Ewell, but Bucio, that is the future for our central midfielder, at least right now with a youngster. Like, yes, we already have central midfielders on the A squad, but for the B squad, Bucio, man, that's his spot. That's his spot. That guy is uber talented.
But one thing you can even say is, even with the A squad, after Tyler Adams, we don't really have a number 6.
That is true.
When Tyler Adams is not on the pitch, you see there's a big difference in our defense. So if Gianluca Bucio has a great tournament and we make a deep run and he locks down that spot in this B/C squad, then if nothing else, when the World Cup qualifiers come around, he's going to be a regular call-up. Now, he might not play a ton just because he's not as good as Tyler Adams, but
he can still be impactful as a sub.
Yeah. I'm not going to say he's not far off, but you don't lose that much between he and Adams as opposed to him and Jackson Ewell, or him and Kellen Acosta.
That's true.
There's definitely a difference between those two guys and Gianluca Bucio. So
that's true.
He just made things happen. He got it on the half touch. He would turn it. He would, he'd take one touch and then he'd spray it wide 35 yards. Or he'd play it deep to Daryl DK, or he'd take it and he would just do this one touch right around the defender and then dribble 3 or 4 times, and before you know it, he's all the way at the back line. And now he's got a lot of options. He made a big difference in this one. He was great.
I was very impressed with him. And, moving forward, going against Canada, the fact that we are tied on goal differential, but Canada still holds the tiebreaker margin, now it makes that match so much easier. Like, I cannot wait. That is going to be a full-on, pretty much an MLS versus an MLS squad. Like, it's USA, Canada. They are one of our, rivals in CONCACAF. They are a border country. And that is something that I personally cannot wait. I believe that match is going to be played this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, and that will actually be a 5 o'clocker instead of these late night ones like we have in the first 2 group matches of this tournament so far. But we got to hit on the fact that, once again, stock up. Shaq Moore, oh my goodness, he continues to impress. And I mentioned this to you before the match, is I think this was more so kind of a tryout role for him at the right mid and being a right wing back and getting back on defense in a 3-5 back defensive formation. But man, that guy is once again all over the place. He put a couple great crosses into the box from the right winger position when he came up to attack. And that guy he continues to impress me. Like, I know we're deep at the right back spot with
one of our few positions.
with what? Robinson and then Serginho Dest, but like, he is a quality number 3 right back, and he is making his case for World Cup qualification and a World Cup roster spot right now. Like, he is just continuing to impress. And they mentioned in the match, he wasn't even in a training camp before this tournament. So like, he didn't have any matches before. There was no Nations League call up for him. There's no preseason tournament at all. Like, this is it for him. And for him to come out in the first 2 matches and look like this, I got nothing bad to say about him. Nothing but great things from Shaq Moore is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I believe it was Reggie Cannon who got hurt right before, and
Reggie Cannon.
He didn't make the final cut, and all of a sudden they called him up, and he's like, all right, let's roll, And, boy, he's come in, and he's done nothing but he's not a superstar, but
he's creating chances.
Good,
Like, he's doing his
good.
job. He's creating chances.
He's solid everywhere. I mean, I've sort of described him as he's just a gamer, man. Like,
really is.
He knows when the moments are, okay, it's time for me to do something here. Like, you see a lot of younger players, a lot of guys that get their first, second, third, fourth opportunity where they just want to push it. They want to force it. Like we talked about Christian Rodon in the first half, right? He's very, very good. He's like 25 years old. He's been playing for a long time. He's been a starter for Seattle Sounders for years and years now. But he comes in, he's pressing. You can see him. He's trying to force it. He's trying to, hey, I got to make my mark here. But Shaq Moore comes in, he just does his thing, man.
He makes it look easy, honestly.
Yeah,
like
he hasn't been outpaced yet. But, you're going against a little bit lesser teams. But he's been more than able to keep up with anybody out there. And if not anything else, he has a better burst than these other guys do.
Oh, you saw it on the closing speed. And around, I believe, the 55th minute, whenever Martinique actually had a quality shot on goal on a breakaway, that was Shaq Moore coming from the central side, the left side, and coming to recovery defense. And he forced the early shot from about 30 yards out rather than having that attacker taking a couple extra dribbles and possibly putting it in the back of the net. Like, got to give credit where credit is due. We got beat on the counterattack, but the recovery from our back line was amazing. And it's got to once again give credit to Walker Zimmerman, like still pushing for that spot for center back number 2 on the A squad, man. He is another stock up person for us. And then, as we already mentioned, Gianluca Busio, like Gianluca Busio, he's just watch out for him. If you really don't know about him, Google him. There's a great article that I read today about his upbringing and why he chose to stay at Sporting KC as long as he has. Right now, he's getting a bunch of international transfer looks and offers.
United, Borussia Dortmund wants some.
It's crazy. All the big European clubs want him, and guess what? The big European clubs ain't going to want someone who's not extremely talented. And that's what we love to see, is the fact that these big clubs want American players, because we've just been so bad at soccer for decades. And when it comes to putting talent over in Europe, and we're finally doing it.
Yeah, and a lot of these people that are listening to this probably know all about the Jurgen Klinsmann era, right?
Oh,
he was not very well liked around the United States parts for the way everything ended. But I'll tell you this much, guys. When he took over in 2010, after the World Cup team in 2010, that really didn't do that great, actually, we're being completely honest. They were somewhat of a disappointment. He comes in, and he immediately starts telling people things they don't want to hear. He says, look, your youth development is terrible. He said, you have no youth squads. You have no way to develop these kids when they're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And he kept trying to push people over to Europe, and people were getting upset at that. MLS was getting upset at that. Fans were getting upset at that because they wanted to watch their star players at home.
Mm-hmm.
But Jurgen was insistent, saying you have to push them at the highest level as early as possible. You have to get them training against players that are better than them so they can learn. You have to get them in Europe at a young age so they can learn. There's better coaches over there. There's better systems over there. They've been doing it for 50, 60, 70, 80 years longer than you guys over here have.
And it's something that we joke about all the time. It's something that we joke about all the time of MLS, minor league soccer. Like,
we call it
no disrespect to MLS because MLS can be competitive, but compared to Europe, we're like baseball's minor league to the major league that we have here in America. Like, if you want to get better, you got to play with the best of the best, and the best of the best have been over in Europe forever because that's where the sport started. So
again, you look at a guy like Giovanni Reina, who's 17. I think he just turned 18 years old. He's been at Borussia Dortmund for 2 years now. You look at Christian Pulisic, who came up in an MLS squad up until he was 17 years old. Then he went over to Borussia Dortmund. For like 3 years or so. And then now he's been with Chelsea for a few years himself. And it's like, the ability for you to get better if you're good enough to make those squads over there is astronomically better than MLS. Now, people are going to go out there and say, well, what about Landon Donovan? Now, yes, Landon Donovan was great, but he went over to Europe a couple times and did not do well.
Sure did. Everyone forgets that.
Cut it over there. He was comfortable in MLS. He liked being the guy that helped MLS get to the point where David Beckham considered coming to the LA Galaxy to play with him.
And you see what that's done? He's got an MLS team because he came over. So, I mean, that's just done nothing but help grow MLS.
But Landon wasn't able to make it at the very, very, very highest levels. And so he kept coming back to MLS, and he was the star. He was the big fish in a small pond, for another way to put it, right? But now you get these younger guys that are wanting to challenge themselves. You know, like, it's good. You know, are they all going to be star players? No, they're not.
No.
In fact, the vast majority of them are going to flame out. Or the vast majority of them are just going to come back and be, all right, you're all right, you know?
Yep.
But if you're all right in Europe, that means you're pretty darn good for the United States.
I mean, you're a starter and you're a top player in MLS if you're just all right to pretty good over in Europe. Like, that's just facts. But anyways, a couple more stock riders that we touched on a little bit. Let me go ahead and finish them up. Eric Williamson, as we mentioned, playing that center mid role alongside Busio, did very great. Really looking forward to see what he does in these next couple of matches for us. I mean, not many takeaways that I can see that were negative on his part. And then also Daryl DK, as I mentioned, darn near had the hat trick, but the 2 goals that he did have were pretty darn good. And, you know, he's an Orlando City player. So I'm very high on Daryl DK. And then also playing over at the left mid opposite of Shaq Moore playing the right mid, you know, as a right mid / right fullback was George Bello. And he didn't do too bad either. I mean, he had his ups, he had a couple downs, but, you know, mainly was solid throughout this whole entire match.
Yeah, I can only remember one time that he was caught out of position, and that's when our boy Shaq Moore had to come over and bail him out because he was caught too far up the pitch on the counterattack. But other than that, he was great attacking on the left side, man. Like he did what Sam Vines did in the first game, except he was able to come back and defend what Sam Vines was not able to do.
So he gave just as much attacking, but he didn't give up anything defensively.
You know? I really liked what Vines did. You didn't. But both of us were in agreement that his defense was awful.
It was. I mean,
well, George Bello was, if he wasn't 100% Sam Vines, he was 90 to 95% Sam Vines. But his defense was way better. And the big key in tournaments like this and games like this is, especially when you have 11 players on the pitch, including your keeper, you can't have a weakness.
No.
Right? I don't care how good or bad the other team is. If you have a glaring weakness, it's going to be obvious.
It's going to be exploited.
And they're going to be able to pick it out.
These managers are professional managers. These are professional soccer managers for a reason. That's their job, is to find the weakness in the defense. And you know what?
All these players are paid a lot of money to play soccer. All these managers are paid a lot of money to manage teams. If you have a weakness, it will be found. It might not be found right away, but it will be found over 90 minutes, I can promise you.
Just like any other job, man.
Was able to hold down that left side, and now it made it a lot tougher for them to attack us. They had to find all sorts of different ways to do it. And by the end, they were, only because all of their subs they brought on were attacking players, and that's why we were able to, knock 2 goals in there after the 70th minute, because they were just going all out. They knew if they lost this one, they were going to get eliminated. So they were basically just firing all the torpedoes. Damn the torpedoes. Let's just fire everything at these people and see what we got, right?
It's so true, though.
And they were really close a couple times. Matt Turner had to make a couple great saves for us.
He did. I mean, that one bouncer that I mentioned on that long shot that Shaq Moore he made it an early shot. If that would have been a couple more touches inside, that probably would have gone in the goal, because it was a quality strike.
You give that guy coming down the right flank there one more touch, and he probably puts it in the back of the net.
Probably does, but
because he was coming full tilt. He was in a full-on sprint.
So we've mentioned our stocks up, but we once again properly seems to identify the stock down player, and he was a sub this time. Kellen Acosta. He was subbed on for Shaq Moore, which, we were just talking so many great things about Shaq Moore. And then instantly he commits a foul in the box and gives up the penalty kick that cost us our 5-game Gold Cup group stage shutout streak. So Kellen Acosta, come on, man. Can't do that. Can't do that. And then also the next possession.
It was his very first defensive opportunity.
And then his very first offensive opportunity, he easily had the ball on his left foot. It was passed to him perfectly in the box. And instead of taking a one-time shot and put it to the far post, he passed it up. You got to have that aggressive mentality, especially being a sub. You can't come in and just sleepwalk through the match. Come in and make an impact. And he made no impact in that match. And it was really a shame to see.
He just didn't make an impact in the United States.
He did not make a great impact for the U.S. men's national squad, okay? He did for Martinique, all right? He may as well have been wearing the other uniform for that 1 minute that he got subbed on, that first minute. But anyways, one thing that we haven't hit on, that we hit on in the last video, we didn't see much of in this match, was the press. We thought Martinique would be throwing a little bit more of a high press at us, because it gave us fits in the Haiti match. Do you expect Canada to be doing that in our upcoming match, in the last match of this group? Because we need to win in order to win the group. If not, we'll be second place in the group. We're already advancing past the group. That's set in stone. But we need to win the group in order to avoid facing a Costa Rica or a Mexico before the final.
In short, yes, I expect them to press. And Martinique actually did press us for the first 30, 35 minutes of this match. They were just awful at it. They were awful at it. They would sit there and they'd try to press Busio, and he would do one touch to go around him. They'd try to press Williamson. He'd do one touch to go around him. And then literally they would have 25 to 30 yards of nobody in front of them. So they were to take 2 or 3 sprint touches, and they would be completely out of sorts. So they backed off their press because they were just awful at it. Yep. Canada's much better at it, guys. I don't know if you've seen.
It's a better squad.
You probably don't know much of Canada, but they've won their first 2 matches 4-1 against Martinique, who we just beat the crap out of.
5-1.
And 4-1 against Haiti, which we struggled mightily against.
1-0.
And they don't even have their 2 best players.
Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies.
Alphonso Davies, which I wrongly said last match our last video that he was going to be playing.
We both thought that.
He's out.
Yep.
He got it. I believe he got an injury. Then all of a sudden he was like, I just don't really want to risk it. I want to make sure I'm healthy. And you can understand that, right? But
he's a top Premier League player.
Alphonso Davies is the starting left back for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. It's much like Serginho Dest is the starting right back for Barcelona for the United States. He's pretty good. I think he's pretty good. Yeah. So, but yeah, you're missing those 2 guys for Canada. but they scored 8 goals in 2 matches. You know, like, they're pretty good.
It's still a threat.
You know? They're not missing them.
It's still a threat, and you know what? It's something that we are going to have to hopefully get by. You know, a 1-0 victory would give us the group win. So we got to win by at least 1 goal because we're behind on goal differential by 1, even though we.
No, if you win this next match, that's it. Period. End of sentence. Because you have 3 wins, you got 9 points.
If we draw, we'll be second in the group. If we win, we'll win the group. It's as simple as that right now. So I mean, Canada, USA.
Anything less, you finish second place.
Yeah, Canada, USA. Tune in this weekend. All right, it's going to be a good one. All right, to finish out this group stage qualification for the World Cup, or not World Cup, the Gold Cup. It's going to be a good one. But anyways, that'll be it for this video. If you like this video, man, give it a thumbs up. If you got any comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I love answering questions. Any questions you may have about USA Soccer for these streams, go ahead, throw them my way. The more complicated, the more research we have to do, and the more knowledgeable we'll be in the future. So thank you once again to my brother BG for joining on the phone. As soon as I can get him on camera, he'll be on camera, and this will be a lot better experience for us because, man, like, I can't wait to start covering this World Cup qualification coming up in September. And by the way, this Canada match is going to be a little bit of a tune-up because our first World Cup qualification match in September is versus Canada. So that's another reason to tune in for this match this weekend. But anyways, that's all for now. This is KJ3 signing off, everyone. And like always, go USA.